If you're a practice owner looking to scale your practice over the next 5 years, it's going to take more than just hard work, hustle, and luck. It's actually going to take intentionality. It's going to take a game plan. And so today, what I want to share with you is the mindsets, skill sets, and strategies that I use to scale my practice over the next 5 years. So stick around, watch the full video. And what I'll do is I'll share everything that I've done over the last 5 years to grow my practice over 50%. So the first thing that we want to do is define what scaling is. So scaling, I guess, can mean a lot of different things to many different people. But for me, what scaling means is that your business will grow at least 10% year over year from a revenue standpoint and from a profitability and maintain consistent profitability every year despite that growth. But more importantly, perhaps it's not just about growth, but also creating time freedom for yourself as well. So your ability to grow your business and have the systems that you need in place to create more time freedom for yourself to do what you want, when you want, how you want. So if you want to get really actively involved in certain areas of your business, you can do that. But if you decide that you want to take some time off or that you want to start opening different projects or get into a side business or a side hustle, you can do that as well. So a scalable practice is one that sustains profitability and allows the owner to be able to insert themselves or exit the business as much as they want. So I can remember in the early days, I used the word scale, like I want to scale my practice. I want to scale my practice. And, to me, it was like I was younger, so I had a lot more energy. Shout out if you understand what I'm talking about. But now I'm a little bit older, and now I recognize that, I can only work so hard for so long. And I made the mistake that many of you might be making is scaling just means growth, right? Scaling means grow. And the problem was that I didn't recognize that for every input, right? If you put 1 unit of measure into the business or 1 unit of effort into the business, I would get 1 unit of output. So it was like it was linear growth and was all dependent upon how much energy I placed into the business. It wasn't until I started to understand the concept of leverage to where, if I put one energy of input, I would get two outputs or three outputs, right? And through leveraging my time, my skill sets, my mindset, and my money, I was able to get more out of my business for every unit of input that I was giving. And that's when the concept of scaling really, really made a big difference. Like that framework of scaling changed for me. So it's not all about just hustling and working more hours. It's about getting more for your money, creating a system that gives you more for your time so that you can spend your time where you want to. All right. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to share the 5 steps to scaling in 2025. So stick around, make sure you watch all 5. I'm going to try to break down each of them in detail and give you some practical nuggets that you can use for each of them, and then share a personal story for each of them as well. So here we go. Okay. Step 1 is knowing your numbers. And I know that this isn't a sexy step, but it's the one that's required. Knowing your numbers is hard. Knowing your numbers is boring. It takes detaching yourself from the business, from the productive work, and it's about diving into the unproductive work. It's about building the foundation that you need to scale, right? Because here's the thing. Your business doesn't care about emotions. Your business doesn't care about how hard you work. The only thing that matters is numbers, metrics, and objectivity. And so we want to be able to speak the language of the business. And if your business likes to speak the language of metrics and numbers, then we need to understand that language so that we can get what we want out of it. I can recall very, very vividly a time whenever I didn't have my numbers in place. And my strategy was just work harder, because I know that if I dig the hole deeper, that I'm going to eventually hit water, right? So just keep digging, keep working. And that does work for a little while, but eventually you'll recognize that it's a trap. And in fact, harder work no longer will yield you the same results. So understanding your numbers is more than just knowing how many visits you're seeing or how many units you're billing, but it's really a lot about your financials as well, specifically your break even metrics. Your break even is the number of visits that you need to hit on a week by week or a month by month basis to ensure that you're running a profitable margin. Most break evens will will tell you, that you need to hit at least a minimum of 10% profit margin. So how many visits per week or per month do you need under your current model to be completing in your practice to guarantee at least a 10% profit margin? Now, I don't know about you, 10% is good, but you know what's better? 20%. So I usually run my break evens around the 20% margin so that I can set a really scalable expectation for my team. So yeah, I can tell you, how many times have you decided, you know what, like I'm going to hit this volume goal in my clinic. Maybe it's 200 visits a week. I'm going to push for 200 visits a week. And I'm going to make everything that I do around the idea of hitting 200 visits a week. Then you get all the way to 200 and you hit it and you're like, yay, I'm so happy. I hit my goal. But then you look in the bank and you realize I don't have any money in the bank. So hitting the visits is not good enough, right? We have to understand our break even. And if that story resonates with you, it's because that was me. That was me. I found myself, my goal was 180. I really wanted to hit 180 visits in a week. And I found myself really pushing for that metric. I needed to hire a few more therapists. I needed to market a little bit more. And once I got there, I was really happy for a little bit. But then when I looked in the bank, I realized I didn't have the money and I had to tell my wife, maybe we won't be able to go on vacation this summer like I thought we were going to be able to, right? And so it wasn't until I was able to break down my break even and build a model that was sustainable and that not only helped me grow, but that yielded profitability. That's whenever the light bulb went off and I was able to actually be more excited about the volume that we were creating because I knew the profitability was coming. So if you check out the show notes somewhere, you'll see a link tree. And in that link tree, you'll find a KPI dashboard. It's a free resource. You can click that link, download the dashboard. It comes with a dashboard that will analyze all your metrics and give you your break-even metrics. It will also come with a pro forma tool where you can input all of your expenses and your revenue per visit, all your fun stuff, and it can tell you where your model stacks up. Lastly, it'll come with 2 training videos. So click that link, download that dashboard, and play with it and let me know what you come away with. Which brings me to step number 2, and that's building a team of leaders on your team. So you don't need just people with a license and a pulse. And if you're anything like me, that's the mistake I made early on. I just need somebody with a license that could bill Medicare. And that will get you so far. But if you want to scale, if you want to create time freedom and financial freedom in your practice, you will need to build a team of leaders. And the way that I define leaders is that they are excited about working in your company because they recognize that they're working for something that's bigger than themselves and that serves others at a massive capacity. So, really, really diving deep into your culture, your purpose, and your values, and what you stand for, getting really clear on your company goals, and also tying in each person on your team's personal goals with the company vision is how you can inspire a team to grow both personally and professionally. And Dan Martell, shout out Dan Martell. He's kind of like a guy that I follow. He wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. I'm a big fan of Dan's. He coined this phrase of you build the people and they build the business. And so if you find yourself being the only person generating all the revenue or being the person that's being required to be in your business, putting in all the effort and doing all the heavy lifting, it's probably because either you lack leadership within yourself or you lack a system to develop leaders inside your company. So I'm going to give you 2 tips or 2 frameworks to use when you're starting to think about developing leaders in your company. The first that we touched on, maybe like a fringe tip, is making sure you understand your culture, your purpose, and your values. If you need some more information about that, shoot me a message or email me, and I can tell you a little bit more about how to create that. But that's a whole nother YouTube video. But once you're clear on what your culture is and what your identity is, the next thing you want to do is make sure you build a hiring strategy that's built around your culture. So hire for culture, train for skill. We make the mistake oftentimes, and I'm guilty of it as well, that we just need a therapist who has experience or who is talented or who is productive in order to grow our business. And while that's a component of it, it's not the most important. You see, if you have a team of aligned people, people who understand your culture and who align with your values, then there's really nothing that can stop you if you input enough training in the system. You guys are going to be able to solve hard problems together, and you guys are going to be willing to grow together. But if you hire people who are only talented and aren't aligned with you, then you're going to run into roadblocks, and you're going to run into some of the emotional challenges that come with a poor culture. You'll experience turnover, frustration, poor outcomes. And so developing a hiring strategy from the interview process all the way to the onboarding process around your culture is key to developing leaders on your team. The second phase, the second tip or strategy or framework that I want to share with you is the idea of training and development. You see, you're here because you've gone on a journey. You've opened your practice. You've done some hard stuff. You've overcome a lot of challenges to get where you are today. Maybe you have a few therapists on your team. The point is that you have a story. You have a story of growth. You have a story of overcoming hard things. And there are things or experiences that you experienced during your journey that have influenced the decisions that you've made and influenced the way that you think about solving problems in your practice. It could be books that you've read, podcasts that you've read, YouTube videos like this that you've listened to. It could be mentors that you've followed or coaches that you've hired. The point is you have a framework of developing yourself into the leader that you are today. And what you need to do, and what I recommend is to start to document that. So what are some of the books that you've read? What are some of the core principles that you've decided to follow that have gotten you here? Things around mindset, time management, some leadership principles, having hard conversations, metrics, money, finances, all of the things that you've learned, putting that into a series or a document that you can start sharing with your team and equipping them to grow and develop with you will be a thing that can build a leadership culture. And so that's exactly what I did in my journey. I was able to look back and debrief my experience. I had, 3 or 4 really, really good books that I was really interested in that really I felt made a big impact in my journey. And so I just put that all together and I started equipping performers on my team with this and meeting with them and having conversations about that. And what I recognized is that we started creating unity and alignment in our company. After about a year, I had 2 or 3 people on my team who were connected with me in more of a way than just getting a paycheck. And once that happened, I was able to start really pushing the needle in the business. All right. So step number 3 to scaling this year is implementing scalable systems or SOPs in your practice. Have you ever seen the guy with, the emoji or the GIF or whatever, where the guy's head's popping off and he's like, that's what a lack of systems looks like and feels like. It feels like frustration. It feels like burnout. It feels like long hours and overwhelm. And if you're experiencing that, it's probably because you lack systems and processes in your business. So this isn't the fun part of business. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee that might be one of the most challenging parts of small business ownership. You're busy. Congratulations, you figured out how to get patients in the door. You've hired a small team, but things are crazy. They're disorganized. Communication's a challenge. People are getting frustrated, and we lack systems and accountability. And so it wasn't until I was forced by a coach to sit down and start writing down everything that I do inside my practice and documenting this into a policy, a step-by-step process. That was the tool that I was able to equip my team with and start to create structure around all that chaos. The truth is, I had reached my complexity ceiling, right? The business was very complex. I had an intake process, a marketing process. I had team meetings. I had stats. I had an initial evaluation process. I had a scheduling process, referral management. I had all these things, but none of it was documented. And some people knew it well, some people didn't know it well. And that is a recipe for mass confusion and chaos in your practice. And if you're not really, really clear on what the systems are and what the key outcomes are to all of these processes, your team will not be clear and they will not be able to support you. So one of the first systems that I usually recommend implementing into a business is the referral management process. So it's a useful place to start because it's really where the start of the business takes place. It's whenever a referral comes across the fax machine, that is the first touch point of the patient life cycle, right? And so how do we get from referral on the fax machine all the way to patient has showed up and arrived for their initial evaluation? So that phase of the business, right? And so there are key steps that take place. And it doesn't mean that you have to do them like me or like anybody else, but you do them like you, right? So do you print off the referral? Do you put it in a specific bin? Where do you put it at in the organization of that bin? How long does it take to call them? Do you put them into the EMR, right? Where do you put them into the EMR? That may sound very, very granular, but just having a meeting with your front desk every week or every few days and just going through that process and capturing it on paper is a really good place to start and to practice. And once you build out that policy, you'll elevate your skill sets and your ability to capture that complexity a lot easier, and you'll get better and better at it. From there, you can go into the initial evaluation process, the scheduling process, the list goes on and on. But what I recommend is narrowing down the biggest challenges that are causing you the most pain inside your business. There may be 50 or even 100 processes that you could build today, but there are only one or two that are the biggest pain points in your business. And so just focus on doing those and let all those other ones kind of stay on the board for now. Because what you'll find is sometimes if you systemize the big problems first, all the little problems kind of take care of themselves. So what is causing you the most pain inside your organization? That is a really good feedback mechanism to tell you this is where we need to develop more structure, which leads me to step 4 if you want to scale your practice this year, and that's building a marketing machine. So you're probably busy if you're watching this, or you have an idea of how to get busy. In the beginning, you're the one marketing. You're knocking on doors, you're meeting physicians, you're kissing babies and shaking hands, right? But eventually, as you start building out a team, you're building patients, you're building all these policies out, you can't be the only person in the business marketing all the time. We need to try to figure out a way to take all of that energy, all of that input that you're inputting into the marketing bucket, and automating some steps of that so it doesn't require as much bandwidth from you. Because the key outcome here is that you have referrals coming in on autopilot, even if you have to take a break and step off the marketing machine every now and then. So the way that I look at marketing is the first key to marketing is consistency, right? Identifying areas where you can market on a consistent basis every week, every month, really being consistent with that input into the marketing bucket. It could be phone calls, social media posts, blog posts, email campaigns. It could be face-to-face lunches with physicians. There are tons of ways that you can market. If you need more on marketing, check out our website, ppoclub.com. Check out our podcast section, type in the word marketing, and you can see an endless list of marketing episodes that you can create ideas. The point is to create consistency. Once you can create consistency, then we want to increase the volume, right? So it's like, hey, I'm getting 10 patients a week with this marketing effort. Maybe it's, 5 hours of marketing a week. Okay, let's do 30 hours of marketing a week, right? So let's increase the volume, right? And so as we increase volume, not only we want to try to step out of it takes me 30 hours. And the problem that we need to solve is, how do I equip my team and use some automation tools to take that burden from 30 hours back down to 5? And that's called building systems around your marketing. And if you can do that, you can create a machine that gets marketing efforts happening for you, that generates referrals on autopilot every month. So the 3 main things that I want you to think about for marketing is, number 1, community engagement, engaging in the community, meeting the influencers in your space, collaborating and networking with physicians, right? Relationships will be perhaps the biggest thing that moves the needle for your business, at least initially, right? So spending time building out and maintaining and nurturing those big key relationships on the marketing side of things is really important for you to do. The second thing is having a digital presence. Once you build these relationships, you can start building word of mouth referrals. They will refer people. Your name will start being passed around into the community. That is where they will go online, search for your place, and you want to have them confirm that you are a real place, you have a real logo and a real website, a real social media presence, so that you look legitimate online. If you can have at least a website, a Google My Business page, some organic social media taking place with some email campaigns, that is a really good place for you to start being consistent with that on a month-by-month basis. The third, and probably the most important, is your internal marketing efforts. How do we turn each patient into 2, right? And this kind of goes back to figuring out how to equip our team with a sales process that creates an amazing patient experience, an unmatched patient experience, that they come in, they get better, they show up for all their appointments, and they tell the entire world about how amazing you are. They refer their friends and family, and they recommend your place to referring physician. And so that's kind of the product that we want to deliver. And we do that with the internal marketing process. For more information on that, go to our website, check out our podcast, and look for the clinical sales section of our podcast. We did a series of podcasts called the Private Practice Owner's Manual series, and we did a clinical sales episode. You can get more information there. Step 5 is to shift from practitioner into a true CEO role, right? So now you've got a business. You're starting to get some structure in place. You've got a team of leaders, you've got a culture, you've got an onboarding process, you're getting systems and marketing dialed in. So you should experience some growth from that, right? You're starting to get some alignment with your team. Implementing these habits of success will grow your business, but eventually we're going to have to pull you out of the business so that you can continue to work on higher and higher leverage tasks. And that's what CEOs do. My favorite definition of a CEO is this: your job is to find the smartest people in the community to join your team, the smartest, most talented people that you can find. And you equip them and you have them solve the hardest problems that are in your company, whether that's marketing, whether that's patient fulfillment, operations, finance. But even the smartest people that you can find, the smartest people on your team cannot solve the hardest challenges. So your job is to step in and solve those problems as the CEO. The CEO's role is to solve the hardest problems in the company that the smartest people that you can find cannot solve. So that takes a lot of energy, a lot of skill set, and a lot of work, right? So if you're bogged down with patient care, paying bills, and a lot of administrative things, you're massively underutilizing and under leveraging your skills, talents, and resources to drive the company forward. So what we want to do is create a system of delegating things off your plate that don't belong and stepping out of treatment so you can carve out quiet, deep work time to work on your business, build the vision, and drive the company forward. Hey guys, by the way, I'm going to start putting out more videos like this. If you like this video and you want to learn more about how we help practice owners, specifically with our CEO Accelerator framework, visit ppoclub.com and click on the coaching section. You can learn how we help practice owners to scale and grow their business so that they build a practice that supports the life they really want. So there you have it. Those are the secrets to scaling your practice over the next 5 years. You can do this. I understand the challenges that we face. Profitability is a challenge. Recruiting is a challenge. Operations are a challenge. Administrative burden is a challenge. Those are all huge, big challenges. But if you can equip yourself with tools, resources, and space to learn and grow as a leader and as a business owner, you can become the person to overcome those challenges. I believe in you. This profession needs you to be successful. By the way, if you like this video, please subscribe, click the thumbs up below because I'm going to be posting more like this in the future. And if you want to solve the profitability challenges that come with running a private practice, click the link on this video where I review the financial touch points of running a private practice so that you can carve out more profitability next year.